balls, 2 strikes to Howard. And the pitch. Fastball hit in the air, left center field. That one's way back there. It is gone! Opposite field, game-winning home run for Ryan Howard. The Phillies pull it out 6-3 over the Rockies. 4 runs here in the bottom of the 9th inning, and it's time to celebrate. Well, it seems like you always have an extra hop in your step after a walk-off victory. That's what the Phillies had in last night's ball game against the Rockies. Now they get the field ready and everything else set for a 5-game series against the New York Mets, and it begins tonight here at Citizens Bank Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Matt Stairs and Jamie Moyer. The Phillies winning last night. They took 2 of 3 from the Rockies, and now something that you don't often see. 5 games in 5 days against the New York Mets. But we think back to last night, there were some pretty big moments in last night's ball game.
There were some big moments, and it's going to start, we're going to start with Mike Adams and the stellar effort that he put forth in the latter part of the game where he came in to a bases-loaded jam. And right here you see he throws a great fastball in cargo, induces a ground ball double play, and then gets ahead of Tulowitzki and throws a very good slider for a strikeout with 3 pitches. It was a 5-pitch inning. He got 3 outs in 5 pitches, and it exudes what Mike Adams has done in his last 12 outings. He has not given up a run in his last 12 outings, which spans over his last 11 innings, and has dropped his ERA to 2.35.
Well, and all of his pitches seem to be working, as you just saw in those highlights against Carlos Gonzalez and also against Troy Tulowitzki. All right, now we turn the page to tonight, where David Buchanan will make his 2nd major league starts.
Well, what we saw in the first outing is what we saw the whole spring training. A lot of composure. He wasn't nervous on the mound. He went out and just threw pitches he knows how to do. You'll see a lot of high fastballs, some really weird swings to these guys. Good defense behind him. But also he has a very good 2-seamer where he doesn't let the guys get extended. But what I was very impressed with his last outing was he established the fastball. Now he throws a cutter and gets weak ground ball after weak ground ball and fly balls in the outfield. So to me, he had great command, had a very good 2-seamer, and his pace and the way he was on the mound didn't look like a rookie.
Did not look like a rookie, and Ryan Sandberg was asked today, can he go deeper in tonight's ballgame? And he said, we'll see. It all depends on how the early part of this ballgame goes against the New York Mets. So it is game 1 of a 5-game series between the Phils and the Mets. Zach Wheeler, another young pitcher, will get the start for the Mets. He's making his 11th start of the season against David Buchanan. Well, last night, there were a few key moments, including this one, which opened the door for the Phillies at the bottom of the 9th. Tulowitzki made his 2nd error of the series. Defensively for the Phillies, a little different story. Chase Utley, Dominic Brown, pretty sweet defense for the Phils. Lineups at first pitch when we return. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank, introducing One Deposit Checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Independence Blue Cross, the most preferred health plan in the region. Independence Blue Cross, live fearless. 5-game series. David Buchanan's out on the mound, getting set to begin his warm-up tosses at his second big league start. Let's take a look at the Mets starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Leading it off at center field, Juan Lagares. At second base is Daniel Murphy. David Wright, the third baseman, hits third. Curtis Granderson bats cleanup. Lucas Duda, the first baseman, bats fifth. Chris Young, sixth. And the bottom third of Flores, d'Arnaud, and Zach Wheeler. And they'll face Phillies right-hander David Buchanan, the 25-year-old from Peachtree City, Georgia. Excellent outing, although short in his first major league start. He probably could have gone deeper, but they wanted to get him out with the lead. He went 5 innings and allowed 5 base hits.
Threw the ball very well. Coming out of the spring training, we were impressed. His composure, the way he approached the game. Good two-seam fastball. And what I like about it is he can elevate a fastball. Once he establishes a fastball in the strike zone, then he'll mix in the cutter. But like you said, he had a very solid opening day start.
Well, as he finishes up his warm-up tosses, it's time now for the Nissan keys to tonight's ball game.
Well, for me, it's very easy. The pitchers need to do a better job in controlling the running game.
And for me, it's the strategies of a 5-game series, and I think there's a lot of strategies that can take place. But in particular, when you're seeing a team 5 games in a row from the hitting standpoint, keeping track of pitch sequences and things like that, because you're going to see relief pitchers numerous times in a series, and the same holds true for the Phillies, and being careful of the sequences they're creating, because knowing that if you have any smart hitters on the opposing side, they're going to try to keep track of what you're doing.
Well, Juan Lagares will lead it off, and he takes the first pitch down low. Lagares hitting .291 with 2 home runs, 18 RBIs. And he lines one to left field. Dominic Brown is there for the first out. One away. Daniel Murphy is coming up. Phillies are 2-2 against the Mets so far this season. Only 1 game here at Citizens Bank Park. Game 2 was rained out. But counting the games up at Citi Field, they have to figure out what to do with Daniel Murphy, because he has just hit the ball all over the place against them, including a home run that last day in New York at Citi Field.
And my recollection of Daniel Murphy, he is a very good hitter, but he's a very hot and cold hitter. And I think when you allow him to create that momentum as a hitter does create, and Matt, I'm sure you can expand on this, when you have that comfortability of being a good hitter and knowing that you have success against a particular pitching staff, it allows you to walk to the plate each and every time, knowing, not thinking, but knowing you're going to get a hit and knowing that you're going to get in a good hitting situation.
Well, he's 8 for 17 against the Phillies so far this season. Outside, 3 balls and no strikes.
And this is exactly what I talked about. You know, he's ahead in this count 3-0. He feels like he's in the driver's seat right now. This is probably for him an extension of the previous series.
Fly ball center field. And Revere goes back a few steps. And there are 2 outs. Tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box. Well, now David Wright. Wright hitting .304 with 4 home runs and 29 RBIs. See his career numbers against the Phillies, already 33 home runs against the Phillies. He's been on somewhat of a tear lately. He's 14 for his last 36. And he takes his slider outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Phillies and the Mets are tied for 4th in the National League East. The Mets are 2 percentage points ahead of the Phils at 24 and 28, with the Phillies 23 and 27. This division's so bunched up even at this point. And even though both of these teams have struggled a lot this year, they're only 4 out of the division. Now the 2-1 pitch to Wright. Chopper foul, and it's 2-2. Just got a piece of it to stay alive. Curveball hit off the hands, back into center field, a base hit. A 2-out single for Wright, so the Mets have a base runner. Curtis Granderson's coming to the plate. There's Lamar Johnson, who is in his 4th different tour as a major league hitting coach. He just took over the other day. Dave Hudgens was let go, and Lamar, who's been the hitting coach with the Brewers, the Royals, and the Mariners, spent 9 years in the major leagues. Was a .287 lifetime hitter. Terry Collins' staff had the shakeup the other day, and Lamar Johnson was added as the new hitting coach. Curtis Granderson's the batter. The other teams that Johnson's taken over for in past years were really bad offensively, and he's helped jumpstart them some way, shape, or form. The players have all of that to do with it, but it just seems like the year after he takes over, the numbers go up.
Well, he probably just watches a little closer, and he might be that type of guy that it looks for, I don't know, like not necessarily a technique, but just something that's easier to get to the ball. I mean, I've gone through a lot of hitting coaches, and sometimes it's just a simple word that, you know, your hip's going out a little too long, stay back a little longer, and make the adjustment.
0-1 pitch, fly ball to right center field. Marlon Byrd wanders under it. It'll take him out toward the warning track, and he makes the catch, and the side is retired. So a 15-pitch first inning for David Buchanan. Let's go down quietly. We'll go to the bottom of the first. Zach Wheeler goes to work. Now let's take a look at the Phillies starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Leading it off in center field, Ben Revere. Jimmy Rollins bats second. Chase Utley hits third, followed by Ryan Howard and Marlon Byrd. Dominic Brown's in left field. He'll bat sixth. Carlos Ruiz will hit seventh. Cesar Hernandez will bat eighth today. And batting ninth and pitching is David Buchanan. And they'll face right-hander Zach Wheeler, who's 1-5 this year with an earned run average of 4.63. He is a strikeout pitcher. He's averaging nearly a strikeout per inning pitched. And he is just 23 years old.
He is, and he's got a very good fastball, low 90s to mid 90s fastball, a slider at 86 to 90, or cutter if you want to call it, a curveball 76 to 80, and a changeup, which is rather hard, 86 to 89. The other thing about Zach Wheeler is with runners in scoring position, opponents are hitting .356 against him, and he's also 1-3 with a 5.68 ERA on the road. So I think that's where maybe the Phillies might have a little bit of the upper hand here tonight.
Well, Ben Revere facing him for the first time, hitting .292, a home run and 8 RBIs that he takes outside. It's 1-0. Revere is 6 for 15, or was 6 for 15 in the series against the Rockies. Don't underestimate the hit he had in the 9th inning. Everything the Phillies did in the bottom of the 9th inning last night led to that victory. The Utley base hit, of course, tied it. But Gwynn getting on the error by Rutledge, well, that really opened the door right there for the Phillies.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that the Phillies were able to somehow get a couple guys on base and build off of that momentum. I know we talk about momentum a lot, but it's really, really important. In that winning environment, the feeling that you have in the dugout, you want everybody to have a bounce in their step. And when you start to win and you have the good fortune of being on a team that has the ability to pull out wins, come from behind, those are important intangibles to have.
I mentioned it was the Phillies' first victory after trailing after the 8th inning this season. And Brian Sandberg said it was a pretty happy clubhouse last night for obvious reasons. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Revere. He's hit in 3 straight. And he fights another one off. The Mets picked up Zach Wheeler in a trade for Carlos Beltran a couple years ago. Beltran went to the Giants. A lot of times those trades at the trade deadline don't pay dividends right away. It takes a year or two, and they picked up a former first-round pick. And a line drive for Revere out toward left field. That'll bring Jimmy Rollins to the plate, and let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph?
All right, thank you very much, guys. And Jamie, just to expand on your point on Zach Wheeler, he has had his struggles this year. The 23-year-old not enjoying the kind of success that he had in his rookie year. And one of the things that has been really tough on him are left-handed hitters. Ben Revere gets a leadoff single right there. Take a look at the numbers. Last year, just 259 lefties against Zach Wheeler. This year, 329, 7 doubles and 2 home runs already. He's also walked 27 batters this year, which is the 5th most in the National League. So he has had his struggles, and his ERA in the first inning, guys, well over 8. So it's good to get to this guy early.
And it's you look at the lineup. The Phillies have three right-handers in the lineup. Ruiz, of course, Marlon Byrd, and David Buchanan, and a couple switch hitters in Rollins and Cesar Hernandez.
And then those numbers that Murph threw out there, especially against lefties, without seeing Wheeler pitch much, my guess is he struggles getting the ball in to left-handed hitters.
It was supposed to be twice.
0-2 to Rollins. Rollins 1 for 12 in the series against the Rockies. Had a base hit in last night's ball game. Revere goes, pitch is taken for a strike. The throw to second on one hop. He is safe at second base. Stole a base number 14 for Ben Revere. And Rollins down looking, so there's one out.
See that Ben makes it, I wouldn't say rather easy, but he got into second base. I think a lot of that's because he had a real good jump. Still, it goes with that head first slide. Fortunately, he came out of that one safe. And I mean safe with his body, too.
Mm-hmm. I think Rollins thought that last pitch may have been a little outside. Here's Chase Utley. Utley 6 for 14 against the Rockies. He's tied for first in the National League in doubles with 22. And he takes inside. 1 ball and no strikes.
One of the things here, too, is if you notice, look how far he's sliding. He's coming this far over into the base and making it a longer tag for either the shortstop or second baseman covering. A lot of guys will go head first right into the middle of the base. But now if you go feet first, you kind of call it a hook slide. You kind of grab it with your toe. That way there, head first, you go the outside corner as far away as you can.
Well, now 14 stolen bases for Revere. He's been stealing bases at a pretty good clip. And he's in scoring position for Utley, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Chase. Chase is third in the National League in average. That average went up a tick last night with his base hit to score Tony Gwynn Jr. in the 9th inning. Good luck at McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Kathy Rose from Schwenksville. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, and Kathy will win $100. Emily Fitzgerald of Harleysville won $100 last night on Ryan Howard's walk-off home run.
So it was then later determined it was Emily?
I'm assuming it was Emily. I received 3 emails and several tweets saying that it was Emily and not Emile.
Okay.
So maybe they knew her.
Well, it's funny, Schwenksville and Harleysville are very close together.
Swing and a miss, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think maybe Charlie's stuffing the ballot box.
He may be going to the local McDonald's and stuffing the ballot box or sending them in. He is here often enough. Revere takes his lead off second. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Chase. Inside, 3-2. By the way, Murph just brought up a good point. That stolen base by Revere is the first one this year against Wheeler. Part of that is because the catchers early on were doing a very good job for the Mets. I guess the other thing is he's quick to the plate. And a called strike 3. Well, that was a slider, and it's the second straight strikeout looking. And 2 outs for Ryan Howard.
You see that's just an old-fashioned backdoor slider. Right on the black.
Ryan Howard has moved up into the top 10 in RBIs because of the last couple of games. He's had 9 RBIs in the last 2 games. So he's 6th overall. He's 3 RBIs away from 1,000 for his career. And he goes after a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 0-1. No balls, 1 strike to Howard. Well, it's time now for our Geico quote of the day, and Ryan Howard on his game-winning home run last night. I found the ball. That's about it. With swinging, sometimes you have to tinker with a few things. Sometimes it just finds you. You don't question it. You just try to roll with it. Breaking ball. That drops in for strike 2. It's 1-2.
Well, he found the ball. Outer half. Nice easy swing. Drove it to left field and crushed it to deep left center of the W.B. Mason Center.
Yeah, over 400 feet. Well, that home run for Howard was his 9th of the season. It was the 11th time that Howard has put his team ahead in the 9th inning or later since 2005. Which ties him with Miguel Cabrera of the Detroit Tigers for 3rd most in that time span. Two balls and 2 strikes. Inside, 3-2. Marlon Byrd waits on deck. Swing and a miss, and the side is retired. Well, after allowing the leadoff single to Ben Revere, Zach Wheeler has come back to strike out the next 3 hitters. Used the slider most of the way. We'll go to the second. .05 Comcast Be a Fanatic about Reading Night, a free Fanatic children's book for fans 14 and under. Sunday, the Total Cliff Lee action figurine, free to fans 14 and under as well. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. Lucas Duda will lead it off for the Mets as we go to the second. And he bunts toward third. The shifts left that wide open. And Duda's got an infield hit on the bunt single. Now the Phillies, looking at all the spray charts, said, all right, he's pretty much a dead pull hitter, so we're going to do what they do to Ryan Howard. But he lays down a beauty of a bunt here, guys.
Yeah, he really does. And if anything, he might have been too fine with it. And it was a perfect bunt. But he's a guy that can hit the ball at the ballpark, so I guess at this time you'll gladly give him a bunt single.
Well, he's had a couple home runs in the last 3 ball games for the Mets, but he has struggled offensively over the long haul. Here's Chris Young, speaking of struggling offensively. And he lines one through the hole on the left side, a base hit. Runners on first and second. The third hit allowed by David Buchanan. And that'll bring Wilmer Flores to the plate. Chris Young had been 7 for his last 58 before that base hit. Flores overall hitting .231, no homers and 1 RBI. That one went right past Tim Tuffle in the third base coach's box. And it's 0-1. Two. David Buchanan in his first start, 47% of the time fastballs, and then the next pitch was the cutter. And he was also able to throw the changeup 18% of the time. It's interesting, 6% curveballs, because we saw it, but it didn't overwhelm the game.
And when he needed to throw a strike, basically he was throwing a curveball to get ahead and then using his fastball cutter. But as you can see so far tonight, with Duda, Young, and Flores are all very aggressive on that first pitch.
That one's up the third base side. It's going to be a tough play. Hernandez tried to barehand it, but everybody will be safe. So 2 infield hits and a line drive single to left, and now the Mets have the bases loaded here in the 2nd inning. And Travis d'Arnaud, just off the disabled list, is going to be up for the Mets.
You see it almost, he just topped it, took a full swing and topped it. And as a third baseman, I know that's tough because you're expecting the ball to come off the bat a little more firm, and Cesar had to come in and try to one-hand it and couldn't get a handle on it. The other part to that is that's the 30th hit the Phillies have given up this year on an 0-2 count, which ranks them 9th highest in the majors this season and 3rd highest in the National League.
Travis d'Arnaud with the bases loaded, just off the DL today. He had a concussion. He grounds one to shortstop. That might be 2. There's 1, and there's 2. So they get 2. They allow a run. The Mets take the lead. But in the 2nd inning, that's the kind of exchange, particularly with the pitcher coming up next, that you would like if you're the Phillies.
Yeah, I think anytime you're in a bases loaded jam situation early in the game and you get a ground ball double play and you strand one runner out there, and now you go to work on the pitcher and hopefully get out of this potential inning with turning it into from a big inning to maybe just 1 run.
Well, Zach Wheeler 0 for 14 this year with Chris Young leading off 3rd. In the dirt, 1 ball and no strikes. Threw a changeup to Zach Wheeler on the first pitch.
I don't know what else to say. I'm puzzled.
Back toward the middle, off the glove of Buchanan, picked up by Rollins, throws to first in time. 1-6-3. The side is retired. A run does score. The Mets leave one over 3rd, middle of the 2nd. 1-0 New York. Teams right from your smartphone. Download the free CSN Phillies Sports app today. Last of the 2nd, 1-0 Mets on top. Mets already have 4 hits. The bunt single and the infield hit by Wilmer Flores are 2 of those 4, but they were able to get a run on a double play. During the 2014 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball program. All right, Jamie, what'd you go with tonight? Actually, I know what you went with tonight.
I had a little rum raisin with got a little chocolate syrup over here on the right hand side.
So that's chocolate syrup from now on. Just
yeah. Frank was he was pushing those flavors tonight. I wasn't real pleased with the choices, but I made do with something.
Rum raisin.
It's the first time I've ever had it. Never had it before.
How was it?
Good. The rum was a little strong in it. I could taste it in the rum.
You do seem a little loopy tonight.
A little.
Now we go to the bottom of the second. Marlon Byrd will lead it off. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1.
I knew I should have had some rum raisin.
Maybe go back there and get you some. Maybe Frank left some in the bottom of the cooler.
Yeah, go back before they lock it up. Or at least get yourself. Jamie's gonna have so much they're gonna give him a key eventually. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
I work on the chocolate chip. Haven't seen that in a while. I wonder if they make it anymore.
They had mint chocolate chip the other night.
I'm not a fan of the mint chocolate chip. Just the chocolate chip.
Marlon takes a breaking ball, and it's 1-2. Matt, are you seeing a different pattern with the right-hander than we saw against the lefties in the first inning?
Yeah, it seems like he just. I mean, well, the lefties, it was an easy pattern. Fastballs in to get you off the plate, and he was throwing those darts low and away and getting guys looking for the backdoor cutter and fastball. But he's actually done a good job so far with Wheeler of mixing the curveball in for strikes and establishing those two pitches early in the game.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Bird. And a high fastball swung out and missed. That's 4 strikeouts for Zach Wheeler. So he struck out the last 4. And Dominic Brown is due up.
Here you just see a good old fastball. Leaned back and threw it as hard as he could, top of the zone, and Marlon Byrd couldn't put a solid contact on it.
Down, 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 up.
Brown takes outside. It's 1-0. Last start for Wheeler, he went 6 2/3. The Mets wound up losing the game, but he allowed 2 earned runs, 3 overall. And that was a bounce back from the previous 2 outings when he allowed 10 runs combined in 10 1/3.
What I find it interesting is his push-off foot is about the ball of his foot is at the edge of the first base side of the rubber. Still baffles me why these guys are so far on the opposite side of the rubber.
Swing and a miss. It's 2-1. Is it odd for a power pitcher or just every pitcher? Because you would consider Wheeler a power pitcher, wouldn't you?
I would think so. I would think normally he'd be somewhere over on this side and creating that angle towards home plate that way. But here he's on the first base side, and I think it's because he's got movement going that way into the right-handed hitter. But I would think where he is, he would not have any problem getting the ball into the left-handed hitter. I would think that's why he's on that side.
I would think it's like hitting. I would think pitchers move all over the place during their career until they find a place that they're comfortable.
Been there, done that. But when you're featuring a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball, it's interesting. Now, a guy like Greg Maddux, who had a lot of movement with his fastball, he stayed in the center of the rubber.
Swing and a miss. He struck out 5 straight batters. First 2 he got looking. The last 3 he's gotten swinging.
You just see again, it seems right now, strikeout pitch is either the slider or a changeup. That was looked like a hard changeup, 91. Had a lot of run to it.
So Dominic Brown's retired. Now Carlos Ruiz. Carlos hitting .261, a home run, 10 runs batted in. Breaking ball.
You know, when you have that pitch right there, a breaking ball like that with that overpowering fastball, it makes it very difficult for hitters, especially when you can elevate the fastball, because it looks like the curveball and the fastball are coming out of the same slot.
Now the 1-2 pitch to Ruiz, and he lays off. He tried to get him to go chase that high fastball. Wheeler's career high in strikeouts, or I should say season high, is 10. He did that on the 25th of April against the Miami Marlins. Well, he already has 5 here tonight in an inning and 2/3. And that one's ripped inside the line down the left field line. It stops dead about a foot from the line, and Ruiz will pull into second with a 2-out double. His 11th double of the year. Almost seems like the key was to lay off that high fastball, which some of the Phillies hitters have gone after.
Yeah, and he did. And he made a mistake here. Left this cutter in the middle of the plate and chose to take a very nice, easy swing and drove it to left field. But I agree. They gotta break up his rhythm. He was getting in that rhythm with 5 strikeouts in a row. Back out and hit on your time. If he's on the mound ready to go, it doesn't matter. You can take your time, get in the batter's box, and let him get that anxiousness of wanting to get on there and start pitching. Slow him down.
Well, now Hernandez, second time tonight the Phillies have had a runner in scoring position in the first 2 innings. Revere in the first, Ruiz here in the second. Hernandez overall hitting 132, playing third base again with the injured Cody Ashe on the disabled list. And that one's back toward the middle, off the leg of Wheeler, picked up by Flores, not in time. The fact that it caromed off his leg just saved a run for the Mets. Dan Worthen's coming out to make sure that the right-hander's okay. I don't think the second baseman Murphy would have gotten to that ball. I think it would have gotten into center field.
I would agree with you there, Tom. It's hit decently, and I don't think Murphy would have had a chance at that ball.
Ooh, right off his hip.
From the pitching standpoint, it hit him in a good spot. If you're gonna choose to get hit, or you never choose to get hit, but if you hit a guy at a spot, there's a little meat there.
Well, Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire, will let him throw a few pitches. I can't imagine that's any indication that his hip is bothering him. I think that one just got away.
Hey, why not throw another one, throw it off the top of the screen, and then say, okay, get in there.
Well, here's David Buchanan. Buchanan only had 1 official at bat his last time out. He did have a sacrifice bunt. If he's fixing to get his first major league hit, this is probably the right time to do it. Might have to start a little earlier.
It swings very familiar to me.
From the left side?
Yeah.
Here's the difference, though. The difference is Curtis Granderson is not necessarily playing in right field where the left fielders would play for you.
That's true.
Wait,
he heard you. He heard you.
0-2 pitch and a breaking ball. Did he go? Yes, says the home plate umpire. 6 strikeouts for Zach Wheeler. Phillies leave a couple. We've played 2. We go to the 3rd. It's 1-0 Mets.
Come on, Blue, he didn't go.
on the subject line. All right, guys, the question is this. On September 15th, 1997, which Mets player hit a towering home run into Section 638 of the upper deck of Veterans Stadium? The answer will be revealed a little later on. I would think that's a tough one, considering you guys were both playing at that time. We asked you that question about that long home run on the anniversary of Dick Allen hitting a ball right out of Connie Mack Stadium.
Yeah, do we know which side of the ballpark that would have been on?
I would think well, I saw what answer you wrote down. I'm afraid I'd give it away if I told you which side. But it was left field. So you can cross out Darryl Strawberry, Matt. Juan Lagares leads it off. 1 ball and 1 strike to Lagares. He lined to left his first time.
'97.
Off the hands toward the mound. Buchanan says he's got it. Ruiz is there too. And he makes the catch. All right, Jamie, talk to me about a pitcher not catching a pop-up like that. I mean, there were probably times where you did catch a pop-up. I've seen it where you go running into foul territory. But why are pitchers not allowed to catch pop-ups like that?
You know, I'm really not sure. I don't know if I have an answer to that. There he is. He's underneath. Chooch calls him off and kind of makes the catch, but it's a little scary. But that's a free out for me. That's a pop-up in the infield anywhere, in play. That's a free out. It's got to be caught. And you usually like to use 2 hands with it, but as long as it's caught, it works. But yeah, I've always said, well, pitchers aren't athletes. That's a silly answer I've heard. I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for it.
Nobody ever told you that. That's what I'm wondering. Did any coach ever say, listen, we don't want you to touch anything?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that one before too. Not you, just the pitchers in general. You don't practice it.
But you're an inquisitive fellow. I'm surprised you didn't one time say, why can't I catch it?
They usually don't have enough time to give you an answer for that, or that means they don't have an answer, possibly.
Matt, you have any thoughts on that?
No.
You've played first base. You played a little third.
That ball right there,
yeah,
I want the pitcher to catch it. Because one, the shortstop, the second baseman's not getting there, of course. The third and first, they're going to have to run on the extremely hard to get there. And Chooch is going to have to make it an unbelievable play like he did. Now, I'll agree they're not athletes, but they can catch a fly ball like that. Sorry, Jamie.
He seems unfazed by the fact that you said that he was unathletic.
He's thinking something smart to say.
No. Maybe we're uncoachable. Well, I think Carlos realized that the corner guys weren't going to get there. So he felt that he needed to get there. So kudos to him.
And also, how often do you see a catcher catching a home run up an elevator shaft facing towards the outfield?
That's what made it kind of dicey.
Yeah.
There's the 2-1 pitch to right. At the knees, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you got to swing the bat tonight, boys. Doug Eddings has got himself a wide strike zone. It's not a bad thing.
Well, I think part of that too is the pitcher usually is the traffic cop in the infield when there's a couple guys moving around. If there's 2 or 3 guys converging on a ball, I was always taught, you have to be the traffic cop and call somebody. If they're not calling it, call somebody out. Ryan. That way there's no collision.
Right, hooks one down the left field line. It is foul.
Or how many times have you seen 2 guys converge on a ball and then they both stop and the ball drops? I've seen that happen in the infield numerous times. And that's like I said, that's an out. It's almost like a free throw in basketball. You should make them.
Out towards center. Playable for Ben Revere. Another quick inning for David Buchanan. He had an 8-pitch second inning. And now in this one, it's an 11-pitch inning. Retires the side in order. We'll be back with the bottom of the 3rd. Phillies baseball is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Lottery. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day. By Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals. Call 1-800-JEFF now for an appointment. And by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. On a cool night here in Philadelphia. The Mets lead at 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. Well, speaking of pitchers trying to catch pop-ups, this was one of the funnier moments in a tense situation.
Now there's an athlete. Oh, look at that. Man, you tell me an infielder you've seen catch a ball like that and then make a pitch like that. Huh? Fielder's position and throw the ball. Huh? Is that an athlete or what?
Complete game in game one. I'm telling you that the pop-up, the catch on the pop-up was one of the funnier things because you just didn't expect it. I mean, you expected he would make the catch, but not that casually.
It's my boy Cliff.
Red Revere takes it side, 1 ball and 1 strike.
No comment, Matt? Come on. Need a comeback.
He did well.
He was under the stadium drinking a cup of coffee at that point.
It's just coming from a lefty, you just never know what you're going to see.
It's very true. I think he stunned everybody that night. Broken back grounder to the third. David Wright picks it up. And 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Rollins struck out his first time up, one of 6 strikeouts for Wheeler. Off the plate, Darno. Yeah, those are 2 quick outs. It'll bring Chase Utley to the plate. The Phillies played the Cubs earlier this season at Wrigley Field. Well, Chicago will be here for their only visit on Friday, June 13th to start a 3-game series. The first night is 60s Retro Night here at Citizens Bank Park. On Sunday the 15th, it's Chevrolet Father's Appreciation Day. Order your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. There's the hat that'll be given out to men 15 and older. Utley takes one at the knees. It's 0-1. Utley came into the ballgame 3rd in the National League in hitting. Troy Tulowitzki, who left Philly last night, is 1st in the National League. Well, because of all the strikeouts and the fact the Phillies have a few hits, Wheeler's pitch count is at 50. Balls and 2 strikes to Chase. And now time is called. Second time through the lineup will gauge whether it's the same pattern. It's tough to tell really with the first 2 hitters. To the Phillies dugout, knocked down by A.J. Burnett, and it remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Starters were out there today with bunting practice for the 2nd time in the last week. Cole Hamels, Kyle Kendrick, and A.J. Burnett. Riley a swing and he loses the bat. It goes past Wheeler. 7 strikeouts now for Wheeler. The side is retired in order. So Chase went after a curveball. It's a 10-pitch inning for Zach Wheeler. So we've completed our first 3. Both these young pitchers are doing a nice job. Look at Chase's reaction as he sees the bat go by and say, look out. We'll go to the 4th here in Philadelphia. Huge selection of Green Mountain Coffee K-Cup packs keep you running and provides fan base satisfaction. Order by 11:30 a.m. and get free same-day delivery. Who but W.B. Mason? On to the 4th. Curtis Granderson will lead it off against David Buchanan. The Phillies do have the overshift on against Granderson. He flied out to right his first time up. And now 2-0. Phillies last saw the Mets. Granderson was hitting under 200. Now he's not a whole lot better at 203. But he was really scuffling. Well, they just walked him on 4 pitches. So first walk issued by Buchanan. And Duda's coming to the plate. This happens a lot for major league players, but David Buchanan was drafted twice before he officially signed with the Phillies. The first time was in 2009. He was selected by the Mets in the 6th round. He was quoted after the draft as saying, "As of right now, I'm trying to be patient with the negotiations," he meant. "I'm excited about getting to a pro organization and doing my best." Delivers a cutter for a strike. It's 0-1. As it turns out, they couldn't come to terms. The day before the deadline, which was in August, the Mets offered him, according to the newspaper articles from around that time, $185,000, but he had already settled in at his college and decided not to take the deal, and then a year later he was drafted by the Phillies in the 7th round. But it does happen often where guys will be drafted more than once.
It does, and what it does, it actually gives you more experience of going into the back to college and getting another year under your belt of some more experience, some more innings, things to work on, and coming into pro ball a year older.
Out towards center field. Ben Revere toward the track. We'll get to it. And Granderson goes back to first. Yeah, that'll bring Chris Young to the plate. My thought is it's got to be hard to turn down that money. But I guess if you are selected in the 7th round one year and you still have all those years of eligibility, as long as you have a good season, you're probably going to get selected around the same time.
It's all about confidence. The only thing that you get afraid of is getting injured. and not getting drafted, but everyone has their choice. I jumped all over my signing bonus.
Well, that's it. I mean, I would think that, you know, that's hard to turn down for an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid.
It's really about the opportunity. I mean, just think of, you know, how many kids, how many of us adults have grown up wanting to be a professional baseball player?
That ball is smashed to left field. Brown going back. He jumps, and it is gone. A 2-run home run, and it's 3-0 Mets here in the top of the fourth. Just the second home run of the year for Chris Young.
Neglected to mention a leadoff walk thrown in there as well.
Just a slider that backed up, and as soon as he hit it, you could tell the reaction by Buchanan. It was a home run, but just tried to seem like he tried to throw it, cut it a little too hard. It was like 89 miles an hour, and it stayed flat.
Flores fouls it back, and it's 0-1. Should say that's his 4th home run. It's been about 2 weeks since his last one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ground ball to third. A little easier play this time for Hernandez. And there are 2 outs. And here comes d'Arnaud. d'Arnaud headed to a double play. His last time up, he's 0 for 1.
Take notice on that topper that Jimmy hit when d'Arnaud fielded that ball. He left his mask on to catch it and throw it to first base.
I think it happened so fast he probably didn't have time to.
But he had to,
chuck it aside.
He got out there quickly, caught the ball. He could have taken that, but I got to believe he's most comfortable. What happens if you take the mask off and gets caught on the side of your face, right? For some reason it's kind of hanging in my head. Kind of jumped out at me.
Outside 2-1. I wonder too if he was trying to get the ball before it hit the ground and
exactly
taking the mask
Good
off.
call, Tom. I like it.
Well,
Johnny on the spot.
Another one out toward Rollins. Side is retired, so a couple of ground outs after the home run by Chris Young. The Mets have taken the early lead. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth with Ryan Howard due to lead it off. yours. Go further. Buy WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. And buy Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. Bottom of the fourth inning, the Mets 3, the Phillies nothing. And the Phillies will send Ryan Howard, Marlon Byrd, Dominic Brown to the plate against Zach Wheeler, who has allowed 3 hits so far, but also has 7 strikeouts in the first 3 innings of this ball game. Phillies somehow have to get Wheeler uncomfortable. Let's see if the 4, 5, and 6 hitters could do that here in the bottom of the fourth.
I could start by laying down a bunt. Just kidding.
Well, Lucas Duda did. Ryan has tried that before.
It's not his forte.
Curveball 0-1. Curtis Granderson, the right fielder, is shaded way over toward the alley in right center. Usually we'll see the 3 infielders on the right side like this against Howard, but it's not often that we see the right fielder in that spot. Usually he's right behind the second baseman or close to him as far as the angle goes.
And a lot of times the way the outfielders are playing is determine how you're going to pitch them. They start them off with a curveball, which is a very easy pitch to pull. Then they go for a fastball right now, coming with a fastball in. They must think that, since Wheeler's throwing 96, 97, he's not going to be able to pull it.
8 strikeouts for Wheeler as he gets Howard for the second time. And that'll bring Marlon Byrd to the plate. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murphy, what's going on in this National League East?
Well, that's a great question because, Tom, despite all the early season troubles that the Phillies have had, and you can throw the Mets in there as well, both teams find themselves just 4 games out of the lead in the NL East because nobody in this division seems to want to grab it and take control. Take a look at some of the trends going on. Atlanta, 3-game losing streak. They're in Boston tonight. They do have a 1-0 lead in that game tonight. Miami stays red hot at home, and we saw that. They are 20-8 in Miami. The Nats, they've lost 7 of their last 10. The Mets heading out on the road where they have not been all that good, just 11-11. They're heading out on an 11-game road trip that starts tonight. And then you see the Phils 11-15 at home. So every team in the NL East having their issues, and that is why it is all jumbled up right here at the end of May.
Yeah, and obviously, if you look on paper, there are certain teams that have more of an advantage player-wise than others. But you never know who can get hot at what time. I mean, look at the Marlins. As Murph pointed out, their home record has really kept them in this race. And now they've got this series set up this weekend against the Braves where they think, all right, we have a chance to take over first place in the division with that series. Curveball, and it's 2-1 to Byrd.
Tom, I think that's part of the reason that they were so excited about the win last night in that clubhouse. You talked about the excitement in that clubhouse because, things haven't gone particularly well early this season, but yet, here they are, and one big win they're hoping can catapult them into some better things because, this division is wide open.
Well, and Murph, you pointed out the home record. They need to play better at home, and winning 2 of 3 from the Rockies is a good first step. But now you've got 5 against the Mets. Then you go to Washington for 3. So you got to make some moves, have some movement during these next 8 games. East versus the East. The Phillies are 2 games over 500 at 9-7. Meanwhile, the Mets are 6 under 500 against the East. Two balls, 2 strikes to Byrd. Check swing, 3-2.
Tom, could this guy that hit the home run in '97 for the Mets have been an ex-teammate of mine?
Yes. The answer is yes to that.
Okay, did he one time maybe run into a wall and had tape the next day? in the action figure in the wall when he ran into the wall?
I'm going to take your phone away from you.
My phone? That's a vivid memory of mine.
Well, I would think that that would.
Yeah.
Would be. But yes, there was tape.
Yeah. I remember him vividly.
Broke it back. Ground ball to third, right. Just in time to get Bird, and there are 2 outs. Well, you're leading me to believe that you're going to get this one right when I thought there was no chance that you would get this one correct. 8 strikeouts and 3 groundouts. Got to hit one in the air. Carlos Ruiz had the best swing tonight. That double down the left field line on the cutter that was left out over the plate. Here's Dominic Brown. He struck out his first time up. Well, that one is in the air, right over toward the tarp, and it hits off the tarp. 0-1.
Zach Wheeler's been in control of this game, I think, from pitch 1. He really has. He established his fastball. He didn't give up a leadoff hit, but he got out of that first inning with 3 consecutive strikeouts. And from there, it's been pretty much smooth sailing.
Well, Murph talked about his struggles in the first inning. These first few may have been a little different if the Phillies could have pushed that run across the plate or 2 in the first. One ball and 1 strike to Brown. That's a good hold on a tough pitch. It's now 3-1. All right, Matt, what's he going to get here? 3-1. I mean, they're up 3-0. You think he's going to get a fastball, right?
Well, he's been living on that outside corner, so there's a pretty good chance he's going to see about a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Outer half, low in the zone.
He should.
Well, he wanted it low in the zone. That came up a little bit.
You're behind in the count. You got to get back into the count. You got to get back into the count with your best pitch. For Wheeler tonight, it's his fastball.
Out toward left field. Young was playing over toward the line. Lagares, though, was able to track it down, and the side is retired. Phillies are retired in order. 7 in a row retired by Wheeler overall. We'll go to the 5th inning. The Mets 3, Phillies nothing. last inning made a 3-run lead. We'll go to the top of the 5th and we take a look at our Mazda leaders and the highest fastball percentage. Now this includes cutters. 70%. I think it's safe to say we've seen that tonight from Zach Wheeler, right?
Yeah, there's a pretty good chance that percentage has gone up a little bit for the Mets tonight. But the best pitch in baseball is a located fastball.
And Zach Wheeler gets his first hit of the season as he lines one into center field, a base hit. A leadoff single, Bartolo Colon like that. And overall, that's 6 hits now for the Mets. And here's Juan Lagares, who's 0 for 2. Low, 1 ball and no strikes. Well, a carryover from spring training in the last game. Buchanan has a real good pace going, and I know he's allowed 3 runs, but he looks comfortable out there and he's not apprehensive at all on firing these pitches.
Oh, he's throwing strikes, and that's what you expect a pitcher to do, and being aggressive, making them swing the bat.
Over toward third, a foul ball. That is the home plate umpire's call because the ball had not gotten to the third base bag. Doug Eddings behind the plate. Brian O'Neill is the crew chief. He's around at third. Now, this is an oddity. 5-game series, 5 games in 5 days. And Matt brought up an excellent point before the ball game. Well, what will they do with the home plate umpire for game number 5? Because you wouldn't expect that Doug Eddings would get 2 games in this series. They are going to bring another umpire in, a 5th umpire to umpire the plate on Monday.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you wonder about this oddity. 5 games in 5 days against the same team. The Mets have never done this on the road before. The Phillies have had 5 games in 4 days, but 5 games in 5 days, the Mets have never done it on the road. Hernandez knocks it down. His only play is to first, and it's not in time. Well, that was a double play ball, but instead it turns out to be an E5.
The ball looked like it might have had a little top spin. He hit the top and get some top spin. When that ball hit, it kind of took off on him and caught him on the heel of the glove and took it from maybe getting at least the lead out at second base to and potentially a double play, but now it's a first and second situation, nobody out.
I think that's a better way to put it, potentially getting a double play, because Lagares does run pretty well. Well, now Daniel Murphy with runners on first and second and nobody out. Murphy's 0 for 2. He's flied out twice, once to center, once to right. Fly ball toward left. Dominic Brown over toward the line, and he makes the catch. Well, there's the first out. Well, here are the last 5-game series the Phillies have been involved in. 4 here in Philadelphia. And the last one on the road was against the Los Angeles Dodgers back in '92.
Well, that one, there was a 5-game sweep. That's pretty impressive.
That would be
beat a team 5 games in a row.
Yeah, that would really lift you up going on the road trip. Outside to right, 1-0.
I have never been part of a 5-game series before in 5 days.
They're hard to find. This one, of course, predicated because of the rainout against the Mets in that 2-game series earlier this season. It was originally a 4-game set. I think it goes back to what you guys were talking about before. You're going to know everybody in the bullpen. You're going to know who's hot, who's not. Over toward third. Hernandez will go to second. He's safe at second base. He should have just gotten to third, because he wouldn't have turned the double play. It wasn't hit hard enough. He should have gotten the lead runner at third base. But instead, the bases are now loaded with 1 man down.
And this is, unfortunately, just gives the Mets extra outs in an inning. The ball again is topped. Really doesn't, and it wasn't hit hard. But you're right, Tom. You know, he right there. You can see he's looking at second base. He should be able to see that runner coming in. He could have easily had far enough time with the pitcher running to third, going over and touch third base.
Well, now the bases are loaded. The Phillies will set up to try to turn 2 and get out of this inning. David Buchanan's made some pitches in this inning, but some tough luck. Granderson takes outside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. So they scored a fielder's choice all the way. And the bases are loaded for Granderson. He's 0 for 1.
And here's where you're asking your pitcher to make extra pitches, and you're putting him in. Your defense is to put him in some tough situations. It's this kid's second major league start, so welcome to the big leagues. It's going to happen.
We talk about composure. That David Buchanan has composure. There's no need to teach him that. This is one where his composure's tested a little bit.
When he gets a double play right here, he's got to feel pretty darn good about himself.
2 balls and 1 strike. Wheeler's over at third base. Lagares, who runs well, is at second, and David Wright is at first.
That is a hitter right here, 3-1, looking fastball, middle in, middle away. You're going to hit it hard somewhere, right?
Somewhere.
Oh, he threw him an off-speed pitch. It's 3-2. That's a gutsy pitch right there.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Tom. I love it, though. Not going to give in.
But now, as a hitter, you get a 3-1 changeup. Now in the back of your mind is, okay, now am I going to see another changeup? So it makes the hitter stay back a little longer. Good fastball inside, tie him up.
Outside ball 4, and he walks in a run. Second walk for Granderson, and it's now a 4-0 ball game. So Wheeler will score. Just 1 hit in the inning for the Mets. Bob McClure is going out to talk to David Buchanan. And that'll bring Lucas Duda to the plate. This year, Buchanan was 5-1 in AAA with an ERA of 3.98. Coming off a season a year ago in which he was 10-13, but pitched very well in AAA. Got the invite to spring training, performed at a high level in spring training for the Phillies. And some final words from Carlos Ruiz before Lucas Duda will dig in.
And going back to that play at third with Hernandez, lack of experience playing at third base. But you got to realize too, if a ball's hit hard, I can go for a double play. Anything hit to my left, I'm going to take the force play at second base. To my right, I want to step on third and go across the infield for a double play. But a softball hit like that, you have to make your commitment early and get the out at third base and go from there.
You kind of run all those sequences through your mind.
Right.
Change up 0-1, and Duda, who is 1 for 2, he had a bunt single his first time up, and then he flied to center. Phillies do have bullpen action with Justin DeFreitas warming up. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Out of play, and it'll be 1 ball and 2 strikes to Duda. So Buchanan trying to get the second out here with Chris Young, the on deck hitter for the Mets. 1 run is in here in the 5th on just 1 base hit. A physical error, a mental error, and then a walk to Granderson to load the bases, or with the bases loaded, I should say.
And here's where it gets a little frustrating from the starting pitcher standpoint. Granted, maybe he hasn't thrown his best game, but he's thrown the ball fairly decent. He's around the plate. Your defense has kind of let you down with some mistakes, forcing you to throw extra pitches. You're under duress. You end up walking in a run. Right there it was a borderline pitch. You didn't get the call, so things aren't going your way. But you still have to stay focused on, I got to get a ground ball right here.
Or a strikeout.
Or a strikeout.
It's 2 good changeups in this at bat to Duda. The one to start the AB and the one to finish it up. And there are 2 outs here in the 5th inning.
And I will give David a lot of credit for not giving in here and showing emotion and letting the game dictate his body language. He's still competing, and he's showing you that, hey, I'm going to get out of this. I like that. I mean, for a young kid, this is pretty good. Granted, they're down 4-0, but he could really easily just kind of roll over and turn it into an 8-0 game here.
Well, Chris Young homered his last time up, I should say, singled his first time up, and he takes high, 1 ball and no strikes. Trying to throw him a changeup. It just missed off the outer edge, and it's 2-0. This is a 25 pitch inning so far for Buchanan. He got the green light, and he got him to hit it in the air to left field. Dominic Brown comes running in. He's under it, and he makes the catch, and the side is retired. Although he allowed the leadoff single to the pitcher, give David Buchanan some credit. His defense kind of left him here in the 5th, but he allowed just the 1 run. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Fanatic about reading. Free Fanatic children's book for fans 14 and under. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Phillies ball girls are working their way through the crowd here tonight. They got their All-Star Game T-shirts, reminding fans to vote for their favorite Philly for this year's All-Star Game in Minnesota. Chase Utley, of course, has a sizable lead at second base to be the starter. So now we go to the bottom of the fifth, and Carlos Ruiz will lead it off. It'll be Ruiz, Hernandez, and the pitcher's spot against Zach Wheeler, who has struck out 8 through 4. Carlos has a double. He has one of the 3 hits tonight for the Phillies. One ball and 1 strike to Carlos. Curveball. And a liner to center field. Lagares froze for a moment, but he makes the over-the-shoulder grab. And 1 away here in the fifth. Time now for the Jeep Stump the Fans Trivia Quiz answer. All right, guys, the question one more time. On September 15th, 1997, which Mets player hit a towering home run into Section 638 of the upper deck of Veterans Stadium?
I'm going to go with Butch Husky.
Butch Husky is correct. It came against Matt Beach. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Thank you for playing Jeep Stump the Fans. Did Butch text you and say it was him or something?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Did Mike Sweeney or some one of your other friends text you?
No. Did not. Mike Sweeney's actually coaching right now.
Oh, okay.
Little League, my son.
At a play, it's 1 ball and 1 strike. I would have to think, I mean, you guys both know Mike Sweeney, obviously Jamie does, and Matt, you do too. I would have to think that he is a very uplifting person going up and down the dugout with those kids.
Oh my God. It's the most pleasant, enjoyable life experience and baseball experience you could ever ask for your child. It's amazing. He is people witnessed him, got to watch him play here in Philadelphia, and we were teammates. But I never thought I would witness something like this as a coach. It's phenomenal what he does. He gets every kid to play. It doesn't matter what skill level they come in at. When they're done with the season, they've improved greatly.
Well, he was one of the more positive people that that I've seen, during my years here in Philadelphia. And it was a short period of time, but boy, he was some kind of up all the time.
And the cool thing is, he cheers when kids on the other team make a good play.
Yeah,
he's shaking their hand. He's patting them on the butt. He knows them all by name. It's great. It's just an unbelievable experience.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Cesar Hernandez, who reached on an infield hit his first time up. And he pulls that foul toward the dugout.
He also has a camp for kids too, baseball camp for kids. It's a Christian camp for kids, and he does a phenomenal job with that too. It's a couple-day camp at a local high school in California. It's phenomenal what he does.
To the right side. And there are 2 outs. Here's David Buchanan. He struck out his first time up. Wheeler now has retired 9 consecutive hitters. I think all those things you mentioned about Mike and Matt, you coach not only hockey but also baseball. I mean, at that age, to have an influence like that, to have a positive influence like that, it's important to keep your love of the game alive, or it can turn you away from the game if you don't have the right experience.
And playing under that type of a situation, that's where the love of the game, that's where you learn the love of the game and you enjoy the game and the teachings in the game, the winning, the losing, the ups, the downs. He turns it into a positive every time. And that, my son likes baseball, but he likes other sports too. And it's if I were a kid, to have that opportunity to play with him, it's simply amazing. I wish others could see that. Not everybody's going to be exactly like Mike, but turning it into a positive experience for the kids is the most important thing for me.
Buchanan hits one skyward. It should be back toward the Diamond Club and out of play. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Because ultimately you want the kids to stay in the game and enjoy the game. And it's a hard game, as we're all watching tonight. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, there's going to be mistakes made. But bringing them forward in a positive way and teaching and learning, that's what it's about. And you get a lot of life skills out of that.
2-2 the count. Well, those 2 guys right there, the guy with the sunglasses on the hat and the gentleman next to him, Rich Giolello is the one who's circled, and the one to his right is Vince Artery. Rich was a longtime baseball coach at Steinert High School in New Jersey, and Vince was the longtime baseball coach at Notre Dame. Both of those guys, I think, know exactly what you're talking about, Jamie, when you talk about having a positive influence on some young players. Those 2 guys certainly did during the course of their high school coaching career. We go to the 6th. It's 4-0 Mets on top of the Phillies. Of the road on the 3rd day of the season, the last man out of the bullpen for the Phils has turned out the lights on opponents. Through the first 2 months, Papelbon has been in complete control. There were plenty of questions about the effectiveness of Jonathan's pitches entering this season. He has not only been effective, but efficient as well, closing games in 1-2-3 fashion. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, it is Jewish Heritage Night here at Citizens Bank Park, and the Fanatic, as he normally does, is able to slide into any kind of dance, including the hora. I'm amazed that they were able to lift him up like that as comfortably. And then, like Phoebe was going up for it, too. I thought they would drop Phoebe as they were throwing her up in the air on the chair. There's some strong folks down there trying to help the Fanatic up. Well, we go to the top of the 6th. Wilmer Flores will lead it off. It'll be the bottom 3rd. I think it's good that David Buchanan, Matt, batted in the bottom of the 5th, but also gets a chance to go back out here in the top of the 6th. He's allowed 4 runs, but he hasn't pitched all that badly here.
He hasn't, and it's a confident thing. I think you might have seen a pinch hitter if they would have got a couple of guys on last inning. But nobody got on base and gave him a chance to hit, and they'll go out there and continue to pitch. Try to get in a groove. He has, like Jamie said, he hasn't pitched terrible tonight. To me, the biggest thing is that he hasn't had his control of the cutter like he did the first outing.
Defense hasn't helped either.
Outside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And again, as we talked pregame, it's a 5-game series. So you want to get to your bullpen, you want to be in your own bullpen in the 4th and 5th inning? Not really, if you don't have to.
Well, I think in the first game, they lifted him after 5. He had the lead. They wanted to let him leave with a good feeling. Plus, his adrenaline may have been. But he didn't throw a whole lot of pitches. Ryan Sandberg said today that they would like to let him go deeper into the game, but it would all depend on how the game was going, how he felt and looked out on the mound. He's going to be here for a while, at least until Cliff comes back, so you got to keep pushing him.
Exactly. The more experience he can gain, the better off he'll be, because it sure looks like he has the confidence and the mound presence to be out there.
2-2 pitch to Flores, and a liner to left field right at Dominic Brown. And 1 out. Travis d'Arnaud is coming up.
And really, in this ballpark, he's still in the game.
Oh, yeah.
4-0 in the 6th. Phillies have 12 outs to go. Anything can happen.
Well, he's gotten d'Arnaud to ground out twice to Rollins at short. Once into a double play. Try to curve ball. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Shallow center field. Ben Revere. Plenty of time to come under it. And there are 2 outs. And here comes Wheeler. This was a big at bat in the last inning because Wheeler hitless this season. 4 hits in his career coming in. Led off the 5th inning with that single to center field.
I like it. Get off my plate. Pitcher or not. Different swing, isn't it?
A little bit of respect by throwing him that breaking pitch. And now the 1-2 to Wheeler. Change up, swung out and missed, into the side is retired. Well, nice bounce back for David Buchanan. He works the side in order for the second time in tonight's ball game. Top of the order is due up when we return to the bottom of the sixth as the Phils look for a little offense. Valley Honda. Visit your local Delaware Valley Honda dealer or shophonda.com. Buy McDonald's. Any size hot or iced coffee is just $1. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And buy AT&T, mobilizing your worlds. Home half of the sixth inning. It's 4-0. Mets on top. City Hall all lit up, just as Citizens Bank Park is here tonight. First of 5 between the Phillies and the Mets. All right, 10 in a row retired by Zach Wheeler. Third time through as Ben Revere will walk to the plate. Fans, the next time you're looking to pick up great seats to the game, head to StubHub, where you can earn 2% back in fan rewards on every purchase, including Phillies tickets. StubHub, your ticket to upgrades and more. Revere is 1 for 2. Grounded out to third his last time up. He broke his bat.
If you'd have told me nothing about Zach Wheeler and you watched him pitch tonight, I would not say he's a 1-5 pitcher coming in tonight to tonight's game.
No, I asked you guys in between innings, is he that good, or are the Phillies hitters just having a tough night? And both of you guys agreed that he's got some good stuff going here tonight.
Very good stuff. Good fastball. Good, as Matt said, a good slider, backdoor slider. Good curveball.
Swing and bunt. Darno makes a tough play. He just gets Revere. Kind of threaded the needle past Revere, and there's one out. Time now for our cold hard fact. It's brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. On this date, boys, in 2010, Roy Halladay pitched the 20th perfect game in Major League history, following Dallas Braden's earlier that month. It's the first time 2 perfect games were pitched in the same season in 130 years. Here's the final out as Halladay gets Ronnie Paulino to roll over on one. All of that happened almost in slow motion. He was magnificent that night.
As he was many nights. That one was even more special. It was a pleasure to watch, too, by the way. In person.
It wasn't the easiest game either. Josh Johnson was dealing that night for the Marlins. When Josh Johnson was Josh Johnson. 2-0 to Rollins. He's 0 for 2. He struck out and tapped one in front of the plate.
There's an oddity tonight. I think I've seen 2 to 3 plays to first base.
Yeah, counting Rollins and the last one you just saw from Revere.
You don't see that play too often.
No, I thought the one that Revere just had was going to be a tougher one than it turned out to be. Or maybe it was, and Darno just made it look easy.
It's all about the jump you get on the ball.
Out of play, and it's 3-2 to Rollins. Right side, Duda. And there are 2 outs. So 2 away, and it'll bring Chase Utley to the plate. By the way, we think back to that Halladay perfect game. Saw Castro make the play to finish it off. Remember, it was at shortstop in that ball game, Jamie?
Was it? I can see him. Valdez was his last name. Valdez.
Wilson Valdez.
Wilson Valdez. Can't sneak the cheese by the rat. Actually, the third baseman. Who'd you say it was?
Castro.
Castro. He's my son's roving infield instructor.
Oh, was he really?
In the Dodgers organization right now.
Wonder where Wilson Valdez is.
Coaching Jamie's kid somewhere.
1 ball and no strikes to Utley. Inside 2-0. "12 in a row, retired by Zach Wheeler."
You know, when you're pitching this well in the road too, when you can keep the crowd out of the game, it makes a big difference. And the reason I say that, I had a little bit of success, not a lot, but a little bit of success in old Yankee Stadium. And I can remember, if you could keep them quiet till the 7th inning stretch, that was monumental. But after the 7th inning stretch, it was tough, because the 7th inning stretch brought them to their feet and got kicking around. But when they got loud, it brought some energy to the players. And I know, Matt, you and I can both go back to 2008, 2009. That crowd, our fans, really were uplifting for us in the regular season and in the postseason.
Yeah, the postseason, I don't think there was a place that was louder than here. San Francisco was close, but it wasn't like here. Two and two to Utley. And he stays alive, just taps it. The good news is, if you're the Phillies, is that Wheeler just threw his 100th pitch, so you figure we're in the 6th inning. He's not going to finish this ball game.
But minimal duress he's been under.
To the right side, Duda backhands, slips for a moment, but Wheeler's there to cover. So 13 in a row retired by Zach Wheeler. He has not allowed a base runner since the infield single by Hernandez in the 2nd. We'll go to the 7th here in Philadelphia. your local Honda dealer's game summary for tonight. It's really been all Zach Wheeler. He's retired 13 in a row. He has 8 strikeouts tonight. He's held the Phillies to just 3 hits. And as we go to the 7th inning, David Buchanan, who's got 6 so far and has allowed 3 earned runs, will go to work against the top of the order for the Mets. And that ball is lined down the left field line toward the corner. And Lagares will pull into second base with a leadoff double. It's his 11th double of the year. Mario Hollins just started throwing in the bullpen for the Phils.
Pretty good two-seamer down in the zone. And it's amazing how guys have changed their approach and staying inside the ball and driving and keeping that ball fair, but it actually wasn't that bad of a pitch.
It's almost like he was looking for the ball in.
Now Murphy, who takes just off the outside corner. It's 1 ball and no strikes. There's Mario. Murphy's 0 for 3. He's flied out to each of the outfielders tonight. Popped him up. Rollins speeds into the outfield, and Dominic Brown comes sliding in to make the catch. Called him off at the last moment, and there's 1 away.
Well, Jimmy did the right thing. You go as hard as you can until you hear an outfielder call you off. You got it away, and Dominic Brown made a nice play. As you can tell, he was yelling, I got it, the whole way in. But once Jimmy heard, he peeled off, and Dominic made a nice play.
It was an interesting slide into that ball. It almost looked like he was lucky he didn't get a cleat caught in the turf.
Well, now David Wright, who is 1 for 3, singled his first time up, fly to center, reached on a fielder's choice to third his last time up. Back toward the middle, and Utley on the outfield grass looks at third, throws to first, 2 outs. That ball just split the bat of Murphy. These lucky fans are today's Citizens 7. They will receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank is good banking, simple, clear, and personal. That's helping you bank better. Good banking is good citizenship. All right, Sandberg's debating on what to do here with Granderson coming up. I think he's going to go and get Mario Hollins. So Buchanan goes 6 2/3. And there's the signal to the pen. So Hollins will come in to face Curtis Granderson. He's got Granderson and Lucas Duda with 2 outs here in the 7th inning. 4 runs, 3 earned for David Buchanan. We'll give the baseball to Ryan Sandberg, and Mario Hollins is coming in for the Phillies. years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Phillies.com for details. The Mets have a lefty warming up in their bullpen. The Phillies have just brought in a left-hander to replace David Buchanan, who allowed 4 runs, 3 earns, and he scattered 7 hits over 6 2/3. So now Mario Hollins. Lefties are hitting just $143 against Mario. Fastball to Granderson. It's 0-1. Lagares is over at third. He began the inning with a double, moved to third 2 batters later with David Wright's ground ball.
This could be a big run at third base. It's a big challenge. You got a reliever, you're coming in, and this is a challenge for yourself, trying to get the out without allowing the run to score. Even though there's a 4-0 lead, it still should be a big challenge for you.
Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did. So the challenge accepted for Mario Hollins. He gets the strikeout of the lefty and leaves one over at third base. Time to stretch here in Philadelphia. The Phils looking for some offense. Down 4-0. Inning. The Phillies trying to get some offense against Zach Wheeler. On Saturday, June 28th, there's plenty of great baseball and promotions to choose from as the Phillies host the Braves for a day-night doubleheader. Game 1 is a 2:05 first pitch. It's Apple Vacations Photo Day presented by Now Resorts and Spas, plus a free 2014 Phillies print to all fans. Game 2, the rescheduled game from the 15th of April, is the Xfinity Fireworks post-game show. Order your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. Ryan Howard rolls when fouled on the first base line. I know there's only so much you can do when a pitcher's on like this, but what are you guys talking about in the dugout, Matt, when a guy's throwing as well as Wheeler's throwing?
Well, you're watching the previous at-bats from guys and noticing that he has great success with the fastball away, the backdoor cutter, having a hard time throwing fastballs inside for strikes. So maybe you want to get closer to home plate and take that other half of that sinker, the backdoor cutter, and drive it to left field. And like Jamie said earlier, he's having a hard time throwing inside. So it's kind of get him out of his rhythm and cheat a little bit and get out there and try to drive the ball to left field.
Check swing and how it goes. Boy, Doug Eddings hasn't asked for any help tonight. He's made every decision on his own.
He doesn't need it. He's got it's like throwing it into a pitchback. That on the swing. That's on the. I think he called that on the swing.
He did, but he didn't go on that replay. Buchanan didn't go earlier. He's just ringing everybody up.
Well, my other thought is, and I know a hitter doesn't want to hear this, but I'm coming from a pitcher's perspective. Get him off the mound. He's comfortable on the mound. Make him field his position. Make him move around. Get him out of breath. You know, try to take him out of his rhythm that way. Obviously not here in this situation. In this situation with Ryan at the plate, but throughout the course of the game, the guys in the back here, the bottom of your lineup, the guys in your top of your lineup, get him moving around. See if that can fluster him. Maybe there's an errant throw. Now he's got a guy on second. You just never know what it's going to create. Look what happened last night in the game with Colorado.
9 strikeouts, 14 in a row, retired by Wheeler. And Marlon Bird's coming up. It's time for the Major League Notebook. Murph?
All right, Tom, thanks very much. Brought to you by Gwinnett Mercy University. And we told you earlier the Braves are in Boston tonight. The Red Sox are without David Ortiz. He was scratched from that lineup with a sore calf tonight. The move is being called precautionary. A.J. Brzezinski took his spot. Right now, the Braves lead that game 2-1 in the 7th. And guys, this is a really cool story. Dr. James Andrews and Dr. Kevin Wilk, both noted for their work in Tommy John surgery and recovery, are launching a new app for your phone, and it's called Throw Like a Pro. And it's going to be for kids who are working their way up through the different leagues, and they can use it to track their pitches and the rest time that they need to do, and also learn how to get ready for a game. The app's going to be launched in a couple of weeks, but it's just an interesting way with the rash of Tommy John surgeries at the major league level. It's certainly been on a lot of people's minds, and this is one way these guys are hoping that they can help out.
Well, Murph on cue. Marlon Bird sends one to deep right field, and it is gone. And the Phillies are finally on the board. It breaks a string of 14 in a row, retired by Zach Wheeler. And it's a 4-1 ball game. Terry Collins is already out of the dugout, and he wants the left-hander to face Dominic Brown. Kathy Rhodes of Schwenksville, you've just won $100 thanks to the McDonald's home run jackpot and Marlon Bird's 7th home run of the year. So Zach Wheeler's done. Here's the pitch. It's a fastball that ran back over the plate, and Bird just went with it. A lot of power the opposite way, and the Phillies finally scratch a run across the plate here at the bottom of the 7th inning. We'll see if they can build on it when we return against the Mets bullpen. it for Bird, his 7th home run of the season, and it means the Mets will go to their bullpen and bring Scott Rice in, a left-hander. 1 win, 1 loss. Lefties are hitting .219 against him.
Actually looks like he's been throwing the ball quite well as of recent. His ERA doesn't show that, but it's unscored upon in his last 16 of 19 outings.
Well, here's our AT&T fan photo of the game. Jaysaw 488 provides a beautiful shot here at Citizens Bank Park. Tweet your photo to hashtag #PhillyFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. 1 pitch, 2 outs. And here comes Terry Collins. He didn't even get himself settled into the dugout. Now he wants the right-hander. So Rice faces 1 batter. I don't think he's going to be tired at all after that 1 pitch.
Well, this is a way to keep your guys fresh and not let the opponent see your guys. Giving them one hitter at a time. He's going to run out. He doesn't have enough pitchers for the rest of the outs, though.
So Rice leaves. The right-hander's coming in. Citizens Bank Park when the Phillies take on the Miami Marlins Tuesday the 24th, Wednesday the 25th, and then Thursday the 26th. All 4 games, night games. After Thursday's ball game, it's the Xfinity Fireworks postgame show. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. Four to 1, Mets on top. And right-hander Vic Black is the new pitcher. Hitting in a 3rd against the Pirates the other day. Couple of walks, couple of strikeouts. Well, Matt, Jamie, let me introduce you to George Gleason. George has got the happy birthday balloon there, but it's not your everyday happy birthday balloon. George is celebrating his 100th birthday. He said one of his great memories was the game that we've talked about already tonight, Roy Halladay's perfect game. So happy birthday, George. We're happy you're getting a chance to enjoy a Phillies game on your birthday.
That's awesome.
100 years old.
What are you, 100 years young?
100 years young.
Yeah, that sounds better, huh?
Ruiz the batter. It's 0-1. And a breaking ball, 0-2. Carlos doubled his first time up, fly to center his last time. Another curveball and a call. Strike 3. Phillies have gone down on strikes 10 times tonight. Carlos, I think, thought that pitch was a little high. Doug Eddings disagrees. We've completed 7. The Phillies have put a run across with a home run by Marlon Byrd, and we'll head to the 8th. Your local Nissan store for the ride of your life and save big today. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Oh, we'll go to the top of the 8th inning. It's a 4-1 Mets lead. Lucas Duda, Chris Young, Wilmer Flores are the scheduled hitters. They'll face Mario Hollins to start. And then we'll see where Ryan Sandberg takes us here in the 8th inning. He did have Justin DeFreitas up warming. But Justin is sat down for the moment. Still a manageable game. The Phillies down by 3. They're into the Mets bullpen after Zach Wheeler went 6 1/3. Big swing at a curveball, and it's 0-1. Matt, what was the most home runs you've ever hit in a month? Do you remember? During the big leagues?
I said 12.
12 in the dirt. Well, Edwin Encarnacion has hit his 15th home run. '16, I should say. He hit a second one tonight. So 16 home runs. Blue Jays lead the Royals 6-5 in the top of the 7th. Outside. The first one tonight went 442 feet. That was a long one. So he's got 16, and May is not done yet.
Royals are scuffling too, aren't they?
The Royals are. Let's see. The Royals have 22 home runs this year in 2 months. Encarnacion has 18. The Royals made a change with their batting coach. Dale Swain took over. He was on their staff as Duda works a walk. On a close pitch. And that'll bring Chris Young to the plate. Young is 2 for 3. Up high, 1 ball and no strikes. Tim Tuffle laying down the signs in the third base coach's box. He's backed up a little bit out there. In the dirt, 2-1. Collins a 3.71 earned run average so far in his first year in the big leagues. They've used him a lot. They've kind of spotted him certain moments in games, and I think all of that is sort of building a foundation for him as a major league relief pitcher. He's handled himself quite well.
Yeah, and I think also part of that too is trying to find a role that he fits into the best and the most consistently he can be.
Better Revere, a few steps from the track, makes the catch, 1 out. Back to first goes Duda. Wilmer Flores is coming up. Every time the Phillies pitchers retired, the opposition 1-2-3, and David Buchanan did it twice tonight. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And with 1 out, Wilmer Flores, an infield hit his first time up, grounded out to third, lined out to left. That was a changeup. Boy, that looked like it was coming at him like it was a fastball. And Flores couldn't pull the trigger because of the way that looked.
Ran down and away from him.
But the next step is to get consistent with that pitch, and knowing that you can throw it on a regular basis and get the strikes and get some swings and swing and misses.
You never know whether decisions work out right. The Phillies made a decision to convert Mario strictly to a reliever after he was a starter and a reliever in the minor leagues. It seems like if he keeps on this path, he is going to be a good relief pitcher in the big leagues.
Yeah, and I think the part of that difference is, when he was a starter, his velocity wasn't near what it is now, and as he's become a reliever, it's allowed him to elevate his velocity a little bit. He's not throwing as many pitches, and for whatever reason that is, it's just how it is with Mario. And I think with his velocity elevating and the mechanics that he has, it really makes him difficult to face.
One time through.
Even sometimes I think for lefties as well. I mean, he kind of throws across his body. He hides the ball real well. You only see it behind him when it's back by his belt. And if you're looking down there for the ball, you're not going to see it when he's releasing it. And you saw right there's an awkward swing, and he gets a strikeout. So it's going to be the ability to throw strikes when he needs to, and then create pitches that look like strikes, and they're not strikes when you're ahead in the count.
And stuff like that can enable him to pitch against righties and lefties. Here's Darno with 2 men down, a runner at first. 4-1 Mets on top. Up high, 1 ball and no strikes.
And Mario seems to be able to stay back pretty well. I think that's important. Get his hand out of his glove, and for his size, create a downward angle.
That'll go foul deep down the left field line.
In a ball like that, it's nothing but a strike. Here from the side, you're looking for him to stay on his back leg. He has his hand out of his glove. He gets his foot down. his hand is up on top of the ball, and he's able to create a downward motion or a downward angle to the plate.
And really, if you break it down, pitching and hitting is almost the same. You want to get back to that position on your backside, have that good balance.
Or load, as a hitter may call it a load.
Call it a load, and that's what you want to drive off of.
And for me, the backside as a pitcher pushes your front side out of the way. Where I think a lot of people think the front side pulls the backside out of the way, and it helps you. I look at it as the opposite. If I'm loaded on my backside and I'm creating my arm circle behind me, when my arm is cocked and ready to throw, if I start to come forward with my backside, my front side has to get out of the way. But as soon as my front side starts to pull my backside out of the way, now my elbow drops, my hand gets under the ball, and I start pushing the ball to home plate.
Well, it's also where your mechanics get out of whack and can lead to injury if you do it over and over again.
And I think we talked about it. We saw it a little bit with Jonathan Papelbon in the very beginning of the season when he struggled with his location and his velocity was down. And they quickly put a Band-Aid on it and fixed it, and he moved forward and got his velocity back.
2-2 pitch to Darno. Swing and a miss. He got him with a breaking ball. Side is retired. 3 strikeouts for Mario Hollins. He leaves one over at first. A nice job by him in relief. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Play of the game. Jimmy Rollins called this initially, but then Dominic Brown took over from there.
Yeah, this is what Jimmy did right. He went full speed until you heard Dominic Brown yelling, he's got it. Jimmy pulls off, and he makes a very nice play in left field, and that is your defensive play of the game, brought to you by Hyundai.
So we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Phillies down by 3. We'll send Cesar Hernandez to the plate. It'll be Hernandez. And then Tony Gwynn Jr. it looks like. His pitcher spot is due up. And at the top of the order against right-hander Vic Black. He's the 3rd pitcher used. Hernandez is 1 for 2. Inside, 1 ball and no strikes. I would have to think Black, if you haven't faced him that much, it's pretty tough to pick up the way his motion is to the plate.
But it almost looks like it's straight over the top.
So that's where you'd pick it up.
Yeah, I mean he probably has good angle, but I'm guessing his ball's fairly straight. But it's quite firm too at 95 to 98.
Well, there's that 95, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. DeFreitas and Bastardo warming up in the bullpen.
But it also, he's got a curveball to fit in with that, and if that curveball's coming out of that same slot where that fastball is, that's what's going to make him tough. Oh, like that.
Yep, he's got 2 strikeouts. He got Ruiz looking, and now Hernandez swinging. This one to start the bottom of the 8th. What Philly sports topic are you fired up about? Tweet at PST on CSN, and Michael Barkan can discuss your tweet on Philly Sports Talk, presented by Comcast Business, weeknights at 5 on Comcast Sportsnet. Tony Gwynn, pinch hitting here, hitting 183. Tony got the ball rolling in last night's ball game. He reached on an error. The Secretary of Defense is here tonight, guys. Gary Maddox.
And was a great Secretary of Defense in center field.
He had a tour coming through here earlier tonight. We didn't really get a chance to say hi to him because we were doing our open. But he is still a very popular figure, and he looks exactly the same. The man doesn't age. No balls and 2 strikes to Gwynn. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Breaking ball, and Gwynn is struck out. 3 straight strikeouts for Black. 2-3 on the putout. Phillies have now been struck out 12 times in this ball game. And back to the top of the order for Ben Revere. This game is far from over at this point, but after you take 2 of 3 from the Rockies, just kind of hope that the Phillies would carry that over offensively into this ball game to start this 5-game series.
Most certainly, and like you said, with a 5-game series, to get that first game, have the edge from the get-go of the series.
Oh, 1 pitch. To the right side, Murphy is there, and it's going to turn out to be an easy inning for Vic Black. So 4 up, 4 down for Black. We've completed our first 8 onto the 9th inning here in Philadelphia. It's 4-1 New York. 5 or more, the opportunity to enjoy a Phillies game while receiving a portion of each ticket that they sell. For groups of 500 or more, the Community Corporate Partnership Program offers many additional benefits. Call 215-463-5000 or check out Phillies.com for more details. Oh, we're in the top of the 9th inning here at Citizens Bank Park. Just a few miles away, or less than a few miles away, from the South Street Bridge as we look at Center City. And Justin DeFreitas in his 7th ball game will take over for Mario Hollins, and he will face Bobby Abreu to start things off. Mario Hollins an inning and a third scoreless. Walked 1, struck out 3.
Batting for Mets pitcher Vic Black, number 53, Bobby Abreu.
Bobby Abreu really established himself as a big leaguer here in Philadelphia. He's part of some big moments over at the Vet before it closed, and of course to start the time here at Citizens Bank Park. He was with the Phillies at the start of this year in spring training. Made it till probably, was it 4 or 5 days before the end of spring training? 3 or 4 days before the Phillies decided they weren't going to keep him. They offered him a chance to go to AAA, and he decided to take a deal with the Mets instead.
Well, usually as a veteran, when you come to spring training, there's usually some sort of, as an invite, there's usually some sort of an out clause in your contract. And he probably got to that point in time, and not sure what the communication was, but probably obviously felt like there was a better situation elsewhere for him.
No balls and 2 strikes to Abreu. And he grounds one softly to the right side, and Howard will take care of him with DeFreitas. 1 out. Bobby's hope was to finish his career here with the Phillies. That's why he came back after being out all of last year. So he's retired. Juan Lagares is the batter. And he's 1 for 4. Doubled in the 7th, reached on an error in the 5th. Thanks to everybody who sent us notes tonight and tweeted us information on Wilson Valdez, that he was playing with the York franchise in independent ball. So he's still involved in the game, playing for the York Revolution. A liner to right field, and that'll drop in for a base hit. So he has 2 hits tonight. A reminder that you can tweet your photo using hashtag #PhillyFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It's all brought to you by AT&T. We show photos each and every game, and we will continue to do so. So you can send your photo, tweet your photo with that hashtag, and we'll show it during a game later on this season. Ryan Sandberg goes out, and Antonio Bastardo is going to come in to face Daniel Murphy with 1 out and a runner at first base here in the top of the 9th inning. A 3-run game. The Phillies are trying to keep it that way to give the offense one more chance in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they'll hand things over to Antonio Bastardo. With the left-hander Daniel Murphy coming up, the Phillies go to Antonio Bastardo. Bastardo had a tough night last night. I guess that's an understatement. 17 walks in 23 innings. Normally, Matt will say, all right, this guy strikes out a batter per inning. Antonio's getting to the point where he's walking a batter per inning, including last night.
And that's why he's in this type of situation here tonight. I don't think Ryan Sandberg has the confidence right now to put him in a situation where the game may be on the line. And allowing Antonio to hopefully work through the difficulties that he's going through currently.
But the big difference we saw from spring training was he was on that mound. He was quick, throwing strikes. It's almost like he wanted to get out of there real quick. And then all of a sudden, he's been getting into that point where he's almost afraid of contact and trying to make a perfect pitch every time.
Well, the last guy to walk at least 4 in a ball game and retire just 1 or less was Reggie Harris back in 1997 with the Red Sox. Remember Big Reggie? He used to throw pretty hard.
Actually, if he was an answer to one of your trivia questions, I don't think I'd get that, Tom. I don't remember him.
That was versus the Red Sox when he was with the Phillies in 97. He also pitched with the Red Sox organization. Reggie that year in 97 walked 43 and 54 and a third. He also allowed 55 hits. That's not a good whip.
That's a lot of base runners.
That's a lot of base runners. Well, it's 1-2 to Murphy with a runner at first and 1 man down. Outside, 2-2.
Unless he got a lot of double plays.
97. I saw Reggie in Double-A. I don't remember him getting a lot of double plays.
I'll tell you another guy who's got a pretty good arm out on the field is Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire. He gets it back to the pitcher pretty good.
Yeah, he doesn't usually give it to the catcher to throw it back. It's his ball.
He's pretty proud of his arm.
And ball 4, so Murphy draws a walk to put runners on first and second.
But that's one thing we've seen at the start of this year is that he can throw a real nice pitch in the corner, but when he misses,
it's not close.
The hitters aren't even thinking of taking a swing at it. I mean, I can understand if he's just missing, ball length off the black or something, but he's missing over a bat length.
Well, we've watched Ryan Sandberg this year. Whether it be when the Phillies were no hit, he basically sent out the same lineup. Cody Ashley made 3 errors in the game. He sent him back out there the next day. I can understand the psychology of it after he walked 4 yesterday. He did throw a little bit of a bullpen. It wasn't a huge one today, but he did work on some things out in the bullpen. Bastardo did.
Well, it's always good to try to work things out either on the flat ground or in a little touchy-feely bullpen. But regardless of how much you work doing those things, it's totally different in a game because there's a result behind it. It's either an umpire's call, a hitter's swing, a play made for you, but there's always a result behind it.
Runners lead off first and second. David Wright's the batter.
I almost get the impression that he's more comfortable facing the right-handed hitter than he is the left-handed hitter. Matt, did you talk about that? I think last night. And just watching that pitch right there, that was a very well located pitch. It was a pitcher's pitch, but he got the call. It's a really good pitch.
So, Jamie, you usually ask us a lot of questions. Why is it that he might feel more comfortable facing a right-hander than a lefty? Is it because he doesn't have his trust of throwing pitches into a left-hander?
Yeah, I don't. You know, I'm seeing his command on his glove side of the plate, which would be into the righty, away from the lefty. I don't see any command on that side of the plate. If he has any command, it's down and away. Occasionally, it's in.
Back toward the middle. That ball spinning. There's 1 and 2. Double play. Side is retired. So Bastardo does get out of it here in the 9th inning. So the Phillies do have one more chance, down by 3. We'll be back with the bottom of the 9th. The Phillies trail at 4-1. Of the game. We go back to the 4th inning of tonight's ball game. Chris Young hasn't really had too much pop this year, but he had pop right there.
He did. It was just a slider that backed up middle of the plate. And guys that have proven themselves in the past that hit home runs on mistake pitches. He jumped over that one.
There's Bob McClure chatting with Justin DeFreitas after DeFreitas' work in the 9th inning. Bastardo fouled by getting the double play after the walk. So now we go to the bottom of the 9th inning and Henry Mejia. Last time we saw Mejia, he was starting for the Mets. Now he's finishing ball games. He's got 4 saves and 4 opportunities. His ERA is high. That's mostly from when he was a starting pitcher. And he will face Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, and Ryan Howard.
Well, I think that what we saw Mejia in New York is that he was averaging about 20 pitches per inning and couldn't understand why they didn't consider him still a starter. And, well, when you go to the bullpen every time he starts the 6th inning, something's got to change.
Yeah, he's got a live arm. I wonder if they still think he has an opportunity to be a starting pitcher at some point. But when Bobby Parnell went down, they let go Kyle Farnsworth. They let go Valverde. Terry Collins was in search of a guy that can close games. Coming up after the ball game, it's Phillies postgame live, presented by Cure Auto Insurance. Ricky Vitalico will talk about David Buchanan's outing and also what Zach Wheeler did to the Phillies offense tonight. He struck out 9. So here's Rollins 0 for 3. Struck out, looking, and he's grounded out twice. Once to the catcher and once to the first baseman. Half the outs tonight have been strikeouts. 12 strikeouts, 24 outs so far. And it's 1 and 2 to Rollins. Rollins struck out his first time up. I think that's the pitch that the hitters, left-handed hitters in particular, are a little confused about tonight. Because Wheeler had such a good slider that was backing up on the outside part of the plate. Eddings was going right along with them, too. And it looked like they were strikes, but you start to see that spin. You wonder, all right, should I go after it? And a called strike 3. One out here in the 9th.
From this vantage point here in our ballpark, from where our vantage point is, you can kind of see where Mejia may have some problems. You see as he goes towards home plate, you can almost also see it from the center field camera. His direction starts great, and then when he lands, he kind of spins off. His body's kind of going towards first base, and his arm, if his release point isn't exactly perfect, the ball just takes off on him. And when it works, when it's all working together, he's around the plate. When he's not working together, his body's falling one way and his arm's going another way. But you can see it straight over the top here.
Well, he starts Utley off with a breaking pitch.
Now here's the angle we have. You can see where his body. That was a pretty good one there because he's staying with the breaking ball. But with his fastball, he's a little more out of control. Like that. That was a strike.
So tail to the outer edge.
Well, you can see it's hard to draw it on the screen from there because it's so small. But when it's not right, it's just out of kilter a little bit. And with his velocity, the ball just takes off. It doesn't allow his fingers to get on top of the ball.
Ground ball foul.
Which on a hitter's side, you notice that now you're looking for everything hard away. So fastballs away, curveballs. If he snaps it off and throws a strike, tip your hat. But you got to take away the outer half of the plate and give him the inside part.
Outside, 1-2.
And if he's that inconsistent with it as a starter, if he's throwing 100 pitches, if he's showing inconsistency here with 15 or 20 pitches, what do you think he's going to do with 100?
And we saw that.
And that's exactly what we were referring to when we saw him in New York. And it's not that he can't; it's learning how to control that, and that's how it is with a lot of guys that have violence in their delivery. Not that it's wrong; it's just you got to corral that somehow.
You see, though, that he's going to have some jumpy ninth innings.
Remember a guy by the name of Goose Gossage?
It's true.
He was elbows and heels and everything was flying everywhere, but for some crazy reason, in his day, he could throw a lot of strikes, and he was mean.
"14 strikeouts tonight for Mets pitching, and there are 2 outs. Well, that's a tough pitch right there if you're Chase Utley.
And I will also say, you watch his demeanor as he walks around the mound. Mejia, he's pitching with a purpose.
Well, the last hope for the Phillies is Ryan Howard. They trail at 4-1 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Check swing. No swings is Brian Onora.
Come on, baby.
1 ball and 1 strike. Howard's gone down on strikes 3 times tonight.
Walk Ryan.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Howard.
Howard, come on.
And the pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. And the New York Mets have won 6 consecutive games over the Phillies here in Philadelphia. Tonight they do it behind their pitching. 15 strikeouts. 15 of the 27 outs on strikeouts. And we look at that note right there. 6th consecutive win for the first time since 1971. As Mejia closes the door with a 1-2-3 ninth inning. 3 straight strikeouts. Well, Zach Wheeler sort of set the tone as far as the strikeouts are concerned. He goes 6 1/3. He strikes out 9, and we saw it from the get-go that he was on top of his game.
Yeah, he really was with his fastballs, backdoor slider. You know, he's getting guys looking, not taking some swings at these pitches, keeping our hitters off balance. And the most important pitch that we always say is spotting your fastball. He did that very well tonight. And what he does is he just gets guys throwing awkward swings at bad pitches, and guys were second guessing themselves the whole night. But the thing is, the hitters didn't make the adjustments to do it the whole night.
And give credit to the bullpen too for the Mets. They picked up right after Zach Wheeler, who's our Chevrolet player of the game, and they kind of closed the door and did it with authority as the Mets take game 1 of 5 by a final score of 4-1.